Hi everyone, let's talk about oud today. So what is oud? Oud is an essential oil that is distilled from agar wood, and agar wood is a raw and resinous product found in the hardwood of aquilar trees. And these trees are found in South Asian countries such as India, Bangladesh, Bhutan, as well as Southeast Asian countries like Vietnam, Thailand, and Indonesia. It is used as a base in perfumery because of the distinctive mystical aura it leaves behind, and it is also often being mistaken as a masculine scent because it is redolent of tobacco, spice, and leather. Oud is very popular in the Middle East, especially with the Arab culture. It isn't just being used in fragrances, but also in incense, in body oils, very much in the traditional sense of it, from ritual and religious cleansing to the treatment and healing of diseases. So oud is a very precious raw ingredient, not just because of the scarcity of it, but also for the cultural value of it. So what does oud smell like? The oud oil that is extracted from the agar wood smells animalic in itself. Some even compared it with the smell of a barnyard, a term that is not typically associated with a feminine scent, which is why oud is often being perceived as to be radiating a lot of masculinity. What's interesting about oud is that even though it doesn't come from animal excretions, it comes from tree resins. When being used as a base in perfumes, it is still able to unveil that untamed, wild nature of a fragrance after all the enfolding notes have been stripped off, which I think is pretty interesting to me because even towards the end of wearing a oud fragrance, the underlying message is still pretty powerful. Yeah, and on top of that, I also find oud smelling very oriental, not just because it's primarily sourced from Asia, but because it smells very incense-like, very exotic, and yet does not possess the kind of sweet aroma that most tree resins do. So when all these elements combined, oud fragrances tend to communicate a very enigmatic presence, which can be very alluring. Oud is not an easy ingredient to accord well with other notes because of how dense and woody it is, but when concocted right, I think oud has the ability to seamlessly transcend a scent from day to night, from opening to closing, and I think one such masterpiece is none other than the Christian Dior Oud Ispahan. The Oud Ispahan was released in 2012 from their Christian Dior collection Privée. It has amber as its top note, and then the heart notes are rose, patchouli, and saffron, and base notes are oud, sandalwood, and cedar. It smells like bamboo to me at the opening, and can be reimagined as spreading open a folding fan with some light woody scent coming from the sticks and some mild floral scent wafting from the scented paper. It also forms a mental image of drawing open a portiere, possibly looking into an imperial dressing or powder room. But once the scent has done greeting you, it becomes more intense, more peppery, and more occult. It leads you into a meditation room of sorts, with the scent of the Far East surfing around you, or as if you're being left in a tarot room, immersing in its world of spiritual wonders. You get more tobacco during the dry down, which makes the remnant scent more pleasantly rustic and crisp than it already is. And frankly, it is at this point where its true beauty shines, because it's like you're dusting off dirt from a relic before seeing its value getting unearthed. The whole experience of wearing the Christian Dior Oud Ispahan is a very intense and mystical one. The next oud fragrance that works great for women, in my opinion, is the Malone Oud Bergamot Cologne Intense. This was launched back in 2010, and the brand has streamlined the top, heart, and base notes to just bergamot, cedar, and oud. But we all know that more has to go into this bottle than just these, right? There are also lemon and orange in the top notes, as well as praline in the base notes. This may be from the Cologne Intense line, but it is not intense at all. But bear in mind that this is a cologne after all, so maybe that is why most do not find it intimidating, and it is suitable for all genders. This opens clean and fresh and slightly sweet. It carries a gourmand quality to it from start to finish. And I think it is because of the citrusy top notes from the beginning, as well as the praline base note at the end, that make the whole experience of wearing this fragrance a very well-rounded one. The cedar at heart comes off as light and airy, as the oud from the base easily takes over in less than 2 hours. So you can expect the dry down to come sooner, but that is when you get the most beautiful part of this fragrance. At this point, it is mostly the praline and oud notes at work, making the tail-end experience of wearing this fragrance a perfectly balanced one. Much like barrel-aged wine with a little chocolate for a perfect ending to a meal. This fragrance gives more palatable visuals than those of time and place, and oud in this case is not the main course, so to speak. It is more of an element of pairing. Considering that this fragrance is not as full-bodied and not as lasting, it performs more like an eau fraiche, to be honest, except that oud is really not easy to work with, and the way they integrated oud into this creation is quite clever and interesting for me. And so having a oud fragrance that smells dulcet and all is still worth adding into your collection. The Christian Dior Oud Ispahan and the Jo Malone Oud Bergamot are two very distinctively different fragrances. The Oud Ispahan exudes a more tranquil and mystifying persona, while this one comes across as more amiable and warm. But both are masterpieces in my opinion and are very wearable for all genders. So I have come to the end of this video, and I hope oud or aga wood has intrigued you as much as it does me, and that this video will make you explore its charms further. Thank you for watching.